The day began with silence. No birds, no movement, only the sound of the cold wind across the ocean. The skies above Earth were covered with the shadows of thousands of alien ships. They floated there like dark clouds, filling the heavens with the hum of energy. Every species in the galaxy had come to see what humans would do. The Galactic Alliance believed this was the end of Earth, that one final show of force would make humanity kneel. They sent their warships to orbit, armed with plasma cannons and quantum bombs. Their commanders laughed through the communication lines, mocking the small blue planet below. But deep beneath the mountains of Iceland, far from any eyes, humanity had been preparing something different, something powerful, something that should not have existed. Inside the underground fortress called Project Thor, every light flickered. Walls of reinforced steel shook under the vibration of enormous energy cells. Engineers worked in silence, sweat on their faces as glowing coils spun faster and faster. In the center of the base stood the weapon, and the railgun. It was not just a cannon. It was a world breaker. The barrel stretched for miles, built into the crust of the Earth itself. It could fire one round, only one, before melting its own chamber, but that single shot could travel 1/10 the speed of light, fast enough to destroy anything in its path. Captain Elias Reeves stood in the control chamber, his hands gripping the edge of the console. He was not a tall man, not a loud one either, but his presence filled the room. Around him were his officers, silent, tense, waiting for the order that could change everything. A hologram flickered to life before him. The face of Admiral Vorkan, the alien commander leading the fleet outside Earth's orbit. The alien's scaled skin reflected the light from his bridge as he smirked. "Human," he said, his voice echoing through the speakers. "We gave your planet a chance to surrender. You refused, so today your world burns." Captain Reeves looked at him without emotion. "You made one mistake, Admiral. And what is that?" The alien sneered. "You assumed we were afraid of the dark." The communication cut off. The entire base fell silent except for the pulsing hum of the railgun charging. The energy readings rose, 10%, 40%, 70%, 100%. Warning lights flashed across every screen. The magnetic field began to distort time itself. The air shimmered like heat over asphalt. "Sir," one technician said nervously, "we're pulling power from the entire northern grid. Cities are blacking out." Reeve nodded. "Keep pulling. This is our only shot." In the distant cities, people looked up as lights went out. Hospitals, towers, streets, all went dark. The sky shimmered with strange energy. The people of Earth had no idea that beneath their feet, humanity's last hope was about to fire. Reeve raised his hand. Arm the round. The shell was massive, a spear of tungsten alloy wrapped in plasma and magnetized to impossible strength. It slid into the railgun chamber with a deep metallic groan. As it locked in place, the entire facility trembled. "Trajectory locked," the targeting officer reported. "Target Alliance flagship Tyrannus. Range 31,000 kilometers." Reeve took a deep breath. "Begin countdown. 10. The lights dimmed. 9. Static crackled through the speakers. 8. Outside, storm clouds formed over the mountain. 7. The rail coils began to glow red. 6. The floor vibrated violently. 5. People across the planet felt the ground rumble. 4. Reeves' hand tightened. 3. 2. 1. A blinding flash of light filled the entire chamber. The railgun fired. The sound was like thunder being born. The ground split. Mountains cracked. Oceans rippled in massive waves. The shot tore through the sky, leaving behind a trail of white fire that curved into the atmosphere and vanished into space. In orbit, alien captains shouted orders. Alarms blared. The flagship's shields flared bright blue, and then shattered. The projectile struck. It passed through the Tyrannus like a knife through air, vaporizing metal, matter, and light itself. The ship exploded into a silent storm of debris. Energy waves tore through the nearby fleet, shattering smaller ships and sending fragments scattering across the void. For a moment, there was no sound. No communication. Only the quiet glow of wreckage burning in orbit. Back on Earth, the railgun chamber went dark. Smoke filled the air. Systems shut down one by one. The weapon had done its job and burned itself out. Captain Reeves stood still, staring at the empty monitors. The silence was louder than any explosion. He finally exhaled. "Status." "Target eliminated," the officer said softly. "The entire fleet, it's gone." Outside, the people of Earth began to see stars again as the dark clouds cleared. They had survived. But in the cold reaches of space, every alien empire received the same data. The recording showed the railguns flash, the death of the Tyrannus, and then a signal. One message sent by humans. It was only 3 words. Do not return. The galaxy watched that message in silence. Entire councils stopped their meetings. Armies paused their drills. Commanders stared at the image of the destroyed fleet, and in that silence one truth became clear. Humanity, small, chaotic, emotional humanity, had just ended a war with a single shot. No one spoke. No one dared to threaten Earth again. For the first time in galactic history, every empire, every ruler, every soldier stayed silent, because one human railgun shot had reminded the stars what fear truly was. The silence after the shot lasted for days. In space, wreckage drifted. Pieces of once mighty alien ships scattered like ash across the black void. The flagship Tyrannus was gone, reduced to dust, and with it the arrogance of 1,000 alien empires. For the first time in recorded galactic history, no transmissions filled the void. The Galactic Alliance, a union of 23 alien civilizations, fell utterly silent. Their leaders sat in dark chambers, staring at holograms of the destroyed fleet, too shocked to speak. One human shot had rewritten the laws of fear. On Earth, the world had changed overnight. News broke across every network. Human weapon ends war before it begins. Cities that had gone dark now flickered back to life, but people did not celebrate. They whispered instead. No one had seen the weapon, but everyone felt it, the tremor under their feet, the blinding flash that had lit up the clouds, the strange stillness that followed. In the command base beneath the Icelandic mountains, the railgun chamber was now silent and cold. The weapon's barrel had melted from the heat of its own power, twisted like glass. What remained was only the smell of burnt metal and the heavy quiet that follows something sacred. Captain Elias Reeves sat alone in the control room. He hadn't spoken much since the firing. The engineers called it a miracle. The scientists called it a breakthrough. But Reeves knew better. It was a warning. He stared at a small monitor that showed the remains of the alien fleet. One shot, he whispered. That's all it took to make them remember what we're capable of. Behind him, Commander Lyra entered the room. She was young, brilliant, and one of the lead strategists for Earth's Defense Command. Captain, she said quietly, the Alliance has gone dark. Their channels are all offline. No threats, no movement, nothing. Reeves nodded, not looking up. They're not silent because they're defeated, he said. They're silent because they're afraid. That's worse, Lyra frowned. You think they'll strike again? No, he said. They'll send diplomats first, then spies, then assassins. Fear always brings curiosity before surrender. He stood up, walked to the massive glass window that overlooked the now dead railgun. The barrel's coils were black and cracked. The weapon would never fire again. It had been powered by Earth's entire energy grid. The global reactors, satellites, and orbital arrays had poured everything into that one moment. Humanity had used all its strength in a single breath, and yet, that breath had echoed across the stars. Days turned to weeks. Across alien space, panic spread. The Artheon Senate voted to close their trade routes with human colonies. The Zurak Collective recalled every ship from near-Earth sectors. Even the warlike Kriv clans refused to patrol near-Sol system. In distant systems, alien children began to whisper the same phrase their parents feared to say aloud, the humans have a railgun. News networks across the galaxy replayed the same image in a flash of light so powerful, it erased a fleet in an instant. Scientists debated how such a weapon could exist. Some claimed it used black hole energy. Others said humans had discovered a secret from the ancients. None of them knew the truth, that it was built by desperation, not by dominance. Back on Earth, the United Terran Council gathered in the Geneva Spire, a tall glass tower overlooking a reborn world. The atmosphere was both victorious and tense. Delegates from every nation sat around a circular table as holograms of alien ambassadors flickered to life. A tall insectoid being spoke first. His voice clicked and hissed. We come in peace now, he said. We wish to negotiate the limits of human weapon use. Reeves stood beside the council chairwoman, silent, watching the alien diplomat tremble. The chairwoman nodded calmly. You sent fleets to destroy us, she said. We responded once. We don't wish to do it again. The alien lowered his head. That's understood. When the meeting ended, Reeves stepped outside to the balcony. The city below glowed with light, people walking, rebuilding, living without fear. He closed his eyes and listened to the hum of life returning. But something about the silence between the stars still bothered him. Lyra joined him there, holding a datapad. We intercepted a transmission, she said. Not from the Alliance. From something deeper. Outside mapped space. Reeve turned sharply. Outside the galactic rim? Yes, she said. It's weak, fragmented. But the timing matches the railgun shot. The moment it fired, something out there woke up. He took the pad from her hand and read the data. The signal pattern was strange. Rhythmic, old, almost mechanical. It repeated one phrase in a forgotten galactic code. After a few seconds, the translation appeared. Who fired the weapon? Reeve felt his stomach twist. Something was listening, he said quietly. And now it knows. In the months that followed, the galaxy continued to change. The alien empires began to rebuild, but slower, more careful than before. Their war songs were replaced by silence. Their borders shrank. Their fleets hid behind moons. And through it all, the story of one human shot spread like a ghost tale. Soldiers whispered it in barracks. Captains told it to their crews. It became a myth. The story of how one world made the entire galaxy afraid to breathe. But in the deepest reaches of the void, beyond known space, something ancient stirred. Long-dormant machines shifted in the cold darkness. Sensors that had slept for millennia blinked alive. The railgun's energy wave had reached them. A ripple across space-time that said humanity had arrived. And something out there wanted to answer. Captain. Reeves stood once more before the dead railgun and whispered to himself, We fired one shot to stop a war, but I fear we might have started something else. The railgun's scarred barrel gleamed faintly in the dim light, like a wound that refused to heal. Above it, the aurora danced across the night sky. Humanity had won peace, but peace, Reeve knew, never lasts forever. Months passed since the railgun fired, and the stars themselves seemed quieter. Trade ships that once traveled between worlds no longer crossed human space. Alien diplomats sent cautious messages that went unanswered. The galaxy was holding its breath, unsure whether to fear humanity or the silence that followed humanity's weapon. Captain Elias Reeve had returned to service aboard the orbital station Vigil, a structure that circled the Earth like a silent guardian. Its windows showed the endless void, empty except for the faint glitter of debris from the destroyed alien fleet. He often stood alone at the observation deck, staring into that blackness. He did not feel proud. He felt uneasy. Humanity had fired one shot, and that shot had changed the order of the galaxy. Yet something in his instincts whispered that the story was not over. Commander Lyra entered quietly. You haven't slept again, she said. Reeve gave a small smile. I don't sleep well when the stars stop talking. She frowned. The stars? Yes, he said, turning to the holographic display. For thousands of years, the galaxy has been full of signals. Trade beacons, distress calls, data streams. Now they're gone, no noise. It's like someone turned everything off. Lyra looked at the display. The entire outer rim showed static, no activity at all. You think it's the Alliance hiding? Reeve shook his head slowly. No, I think something scared even them. She handed him a data pad. We finished decoding that signal we picked up, the one that matched the railgun's energy burst. Reeve took it and read the translation again. He had memorized it already. Who fired the weapon? But there was more now. The latest analysis had revealed a second line, faint but clear. We are coming. Reeve's hands tightened. How long ago was this recorded? 3 months, Lyra said. And the signal source isn't moving. It's stationary, far beyond the rim near the galactic void. He looked up at her, eyes dark with thought. Send a drone. I want to see what's out there. The exploration drone Eden 4 left Earth's orbit 3 days later. Its destination, an uncharted system beyond the Perseus boundary, a place where starlight thinned and space itself seemed to fray. The drone carried deep scan sensors relaying every detail back to Vigil. Hours turned into days as they waited for results. The crew of the station grew restless, whispering that maybe the signal was just noise, an echo from the railgun blast. But Reeve didn't believe in coincidences. When the data finally arrived, it was worse than he imagined. "Sir," Lyra said, her voice shaking slightly, "we found something." The holographic map of space filled the room. In the darkness beyond known space, a faint outline appeared, massive, circular, and ancient. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a ship. It was something else entirely. Reeves stepped closer. "Magnify," the image sharpened. Towers of metal rose from a hollow ring larger than a star. Strange symbols covered its surface, patterns older than any known civilization. Around it floated fragments of derelict structures, shattered moons, and frozen ships. Lyra whispered, "The system's suns are dead. It's feeding on their energy." Reeves' face hardened. "It's not a station. It's a weapon." The room went silent. Every officer stared at the screen, feeling the weight of what they saw. Later that night, Reeve recorded a message for the Terran Council. "This is Captain Reeve aboard Vigil. We have confirmed the existence of an unidentified megastructure beyond the rim. It appears to have activated in direct response to our Railgun's energy signature. The object is emitting low-frequency pulses, each one stronger than the last. I believe it's waking up." He paused, then added softly, "We might not be the first species to build a weapon that silenced empires." He sent the message and stood there in the dim light of his cabin. Outside the window, Earth glowed below, blue and peaceful, unaware that something vast and ancient was stirring in the void. Days later, strange anomalies began across the solar system. Deep space probes vanished without a trace. Gravity sensors showed distortions near the outer planets. Even the sun flickered for a heartbeat before stabilizing again. Lyra burst into Reeves' office with the latest readings. "The pulses, it's accelerating, sir. Every hour the frequency doubles. Whatever that thing is, it's waking faster." Reeve looked out the window at the distant stars. "Then we don't have much time." He turned to his crew. "Prepare the Vigil. Set course for the edge of the system. If something's coming, I want to see it before it sees us." The crew hesitated. "Sir, that's suicide." "We don't know what we're facing." Reeve gave a faint smile. "Neither did they when they came for us. But we fired anyway." As Vigil moved toward the rim, the stars outside began to distort. The void shimmered like rippling glass. Strange blue light patterns danced across the hull. Every instrument screamed interference. Then for a moment everything went black. When the systems came back online, they saw it. A shadow so large it blocked the distant starlight. It wasn't a ship. It was an entire world forged of metal, spinning slowly, covered in scars from wars forgotten, and in its center glowed a massive railgun, twice the size of Earth's moon. Lyra whispered, trembling, "They had it before us." Reeves stared at the colossal weapon and finally understood. "We didn't invent the railgun," he said. "We remembered it." The ship's sensors crackled. A single transmission came through, ancient, broken, full of static. The voice was cold and mechanical. "The cycle begins again." Then the alien structure turned toward them. Its weapons started to glow. Reeve looked at Lyra. "Send a message to Earth." "What do I say?" she asked. He took a deep breath. "Tell them." Silence was never peace. The void trembled as light gathered around the ancient barrel. The first pulse traveled across space, shaking the stars. Humanity had awakened something older than history itself, something that remembered every empire that dared to play with godlike fire. And this time, it was coming for them. The transmission echoed across every human receiver in the solar system. "The cycle begins again." Those 4 words spread through the networks faster than light. Scientists argued, soldiers panicked, and the people of Earth, those who had just begun to rebuild, stared into the sky once more with silent dread. In the depths of the orbital station Vigil, Captain Elias Reeves stood before a shattered viewport, the reflection of that colossal machine burning in his eyes. It hung in the void like a sleeping god now awakened, a massive world of steel and ruin, its central weapon humming with slow, terrifying energy. Commander Lyra stood beside him, her voice hushed. "Sir, we sent the warning to Earth. They're mobilizing the planetary defense grid." Reeves' tone was calm but heavy. "It won't be enough." He turned toward the crew, each face pale under the glow of the console lights. "This isn't just an enemy," he said. "It's a memory. Whatever built that thing, it built it to end civilizations like ours." The Council's response hours later, Reeve appeared on the holographic broadcast of the Terran Council. Faces of world leaders and alien ambassadors filled the chamber, once enemies, now bound by the same fear. The chairwoman spoke first. "Captain Reeve, is it true?" "The weapon you discovered, it's operational." Reeve nodded grimly. "It's more than operational. It's charging. The same Railgun energy signature we used, it recognized it. We woke it up." An alien representative with scaled blue skin hissed. "Then we all die. That thing destroyed our forefathers. It burned entire sectors before the galaxy was even mapped." Reeve stepped closer to the projector. "Then we don't have time to argue. Humanity fired one shot that silenced the galaxy. Now we need every ship, every weapon, every mind to make sure this shot isn't our last." The chamber fell silent. Then one by one the alien leaders nodded. The galaxy that once mocked humanity now placed its hope in them. The preparation. The human railgun facility under Mount Atlas was reborn. Engineers returned to its dark tunnels, their footsteps echoing against scorched steel. The weapon that had melted itself from power was now being reforged, not to destroy, but to protect. Lyra coordinated with alien engineers from the Reeves Empire, their clawed hands repairing the melted coils using exotic alloys. Massive generators were flown in from orbit. The ground shook with renewed life. But time was running short. The ancient machine beyond the rim, now named the Harbinger, was moving. Its course was steady, slow, and absolute. It was coming toward Sol system. Satellite images showed it feeding off dead suns, consuming their energy to charge its massive core. Wherever it passed, space dimmed. Reeves stood at the heart of the railgun chamber, watching as power returned to the weapon. "Can it fire again?" he asked. The chief engineer, a thin man with tired eyes, shook his head. "Not the same way. The first shot drained the planet. We can only fire if we channel the entire fusion network. It'll kill the grid for good. No more light. No more warmth," Reeves nodded slowly. "Then it's worth the price." The alliance of fear, for the first time in history, human and alien fleets fought side by side, ships of every color and design, metallic, organic, crystalline, formed a great wall around the solar system. Commanders who once swore vengeance on Earth now waited for orders from the same human they once feared. Reeves appeared on the open broadcast. "To every living being who can hear this, our enemy does not care what we are made of or where we come from. It sees civilizations as noise to be silenced. We may not survive this battle, but if we die as one." The transmission spread through the fleets. Across hundreds of ships, alien captains saluted. The stars filled with unity and fear. And then the darkness came. The Harbinger appeared at the edge of the system, a black shadow consuming light. Its surface glowed with lines of red fire, symbols burning like veins across its body. The void itself seemed to bend around it. It opened its colossal railgun. Energy began to swirl. Space screamed. The final decision. Inside the Earth base, alarms blared. "The Harbinger's charging sequence, 30% complete." Lyra looked at Reeves. "We'll never fire in time." He took a deep breath. "We will, but not from Earth." She stared at him, confused. "What do you mean?" Reeves walked to the console and keyed in a series of commands. "I uploaded the firing sequence to Vigil. The station still has its magnetic rails. It can fire a fragment, small, fast, enough to pierce its core." Her eyes widened. "You're going up there?" He nodded. "Someone has to aim it." Lyra grabbed his arm. "You won't survive the shot." Reeves smiled faintly. "No one ever does." He left before she could stop him. The second shot, hours later, Vigil stood alone before the approaching darkness. The fleets had already begun their assault, their weapons flashing like sparks against a mountain. The Harbinger's shields absorbed everything. Reeves entered the main control chamber, standing before the massive viewport. Earth was a distant blue dot behind him. He spoke quietly into the transmitter. "This is Captain Reeves. Humanity's final weapon is ready." He locked the coordinates, aligning the station's barrel with the Harbinger's glowing core. The energy reading spiked, the hull trembling from overload. Warning lights flashed red. "Lyra," he said over the channel, "when this is over, make sure they remember. Not the fear, but the reason we fought." "Understood." Her voice came, trembling. "Goodbye, sir." He closed his eyes. "Goodbye." And he pressed the trigger. The beam burst from Vigil, brighter than sunlight, ripping through the void with the force of creation. The Harbinger turned its railgun toward the source, but too late. Reeves' shot struck true. The entire structure cracked open, light spilling from its center like blood from a wound. The shockwave spread for millions of miles, tearing through space like a storm. Then silence. Vigil was gone. Reeves was gone. But so was the Harbinger. Epilogue: weeks later, the sky above Earth cleared. The stars shone again. The alien fleets departed, leaving monuments in orbit engraved with one name: Elias Reeves. Commander Lyra stood at the railgun site, now quiet forever. The wind carried the scent of ash and snow. She whispered, "He fired one last time," and the galaxy finally listened. Across the stars, species rebuilt. The age of fear was over. But none forgot the story of the man who silenced gods with 2 shots, one to make them fear, and one to make them remember.